I'm always amazed at what can be learned when I take the time to pay attention to the parts of the gospel that seem to be passing commentary or less important than the parables or the miracles of Jesus. So when a passage like this one comes along, I've learned to pay special attention. It's almost like God hides special treats in places where we wouldn't normally go looking for them. Take this piece of text, for instance. On the surface, it looks like a passing nod to the fact that there were some women who followed Jesus as he taught. But let's look a little deeper. For starters, we can learn a lot about Jesus' view of women, and I think his view is best expressed in his treatment of them. A treatment that is completely countercultural to the norms of the day. According to first century Jewish society, women belonged in the home, provided for and protected for by men. To give you an idea of how unheard and unseen women were supposed to be, let me introduce you to a quote by another first century rabbi named Eliezer. He said, "Rather should the word of the Torah be burned than entrusted to a woman." Women couldn't pray like men. They couldn't study like men, discuss and argue like men, teach like men. But see, Jesus took all that and turned it on its head repeatedly throughout his ministry. For instance, in Luke 7, Jesus calls a woman out of a crowd and speaks to her publicly. Not cool according to the social norms of the day. And ultimately, Jesus raises her son from the dead. In Luke 13, he heals a woman at the temple on the Sabbath, which really set the social bigwigs off. So to drive home the point that she is just as valued as any man of Israel, he calls her a daughter of Abraham. In John 4, Jesus breaks every behavioral code by speaking with a woman in public who's a Gentile, and speaking with a woman in public who's a Gentile prostitute. Not only does he speak with her, but he enters into a deep conversation about spiritual truth. And that's just a few of the examples that I could list. So I suppose it's not a big surprise that there were women who traveled around with Jesus wherever he went. And I suppose it's not just a passing comment when their names are listed in Luke's gospel. See, Luke begins by pointing out that these are all women who've been healed of evil spirits and infirmities. So these aren't just fans of his teaching or women who got on the Jesus bandwagon because of his countercultural treatment of women. These are people who have been personally touched and forever changed by the power of his love. And that takes me to the thing that I really want us to notice in this passage. Among the names listed by Luke, there's a woman named Joanna, the wife of Chuza. Luke even goes on to tell us that Chuza is the steward of Herod Antipas's household. Now, if you take time to dig deeper into Chuza's role in the Herodian kingdom, you'll find an interesting fact. Herod owned the rose and camphor fields just north of Jericho in the Jordan River Valley. Now, shortly after taking possession of them, he sent armed teams throughout the entire region to destroy all the camphor trees that weren't in that lush Jordan River Valley. Now, here's why that's important. Camphor trees are also called cinnamon trees. Yes, that's where cinnamon comes from. And if you blend the oils from roses and cinnamon trees, you get a perfume called balsam, the most precious and valuable perfume on the market in Jesus' day. Since all the camphor or cinnamon trees outside the Jordan Valley had been destroyed, Herod had the corner on this incredibly lucrative balsam market. And the guy that oversaw the entire balsam trade for Herod was his trusted household steward, Chuza. So when Luke takes the time to list Joanna, the wife of Chuza, in the group of women who followed Jesus, he follows that statement by saying these women provided for Jesus and his disciples out of their means. And a guy like Chuza, he would have had some serious means. And his wife would have had access to those means. That leads me to my question. See, it's just been swimming around in my head. If a woman like Joanna could be so grateful to Jesus for the rescue and life that he provided that she would spend her incredible wealth to advance his kingdom, what's holding us back? I know that lessons on monetary generosity aren't usually very popular, but that's because most of us put way too much value behind the idea of monetary wealth. But I'm asking you to please not get caught up in that train of thought. Just answer this question. If you came to an absolutely full understanding of just how desperately dying and lost you actually were, and then you came to an absolutely full understanding of how eternal and perfect your rescue and rescuer actually are, what would you be unwilling to give in order to advance His kingdom? It takes a great deal of faith for us to answer the way we know we ought to, but I think we should. Right now, together. You ready? Jesus, all I have and all I'll ever be, I owe to you. Do to me and through me whatever you choose. My heart, my possessions, my talents, my influence, it all belongs to you. Live through me today with absolute control of everything I am and everything I have. Father, please, do your will through the power of your Holy Spirit and the life of your Son, in whose name we pray. Amen.